Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Astro Weather. I'm your Astro Weatherman, Robert Phoenix, and it is 11:22. So for all of you 11:22 junkies out there, all you angel number people, why, this is your day. How is everybody? It is bright, clear, cold, and sunny in terms of the quote-unquote uh, meteorological weather here. And we are perched on the last day of Scorpio. And I think a lot of people are ready to see this season um, become part of history. It's been a very tough Scorpio season. And it seems like we were initiated into it back on October 7th when we were in Libra season. And that, of course, was the starting point for the now stalled conflagration in the Middle East. And there has been a litany of death, of mortal death, as a result of what started there. But it's not just a mortal death. There are people whose careers are being murdered, for lack of a better term, or canceled as a result of the criticism and the stances that are being taken by people that they're just not into war. Okay, I mean, they're not into war. And I mean, you could frame it as being an Israeli or a Zionist occupation, and you could do that, and I would have no problem with that. Right, no problem at all. It's kind of like, getting a college football team and have them play against a high school football team. Really, I mean, when you boil it down to it, but at the end of the day, it really comes down to this idea of war, and that if you speak out against the war in general, right, you're labeled fill in the blank. You're labeled a communist or a socialist or a traitor or an anti-Semite or I mean, so this is where the discussion has evolved into right now. And so I was just reading about Susan Sarandon, who came out and basically said, I'm not into war, right? Like, she's not into it. And she's a longtime social activist. And she got dropped by her agency. Candace Owens got dropped by a very specific conservative group that had been backing her. So when we talk about death during Scorpio season, we're not just talking about physical death, of which there is plenty of, by the way. We're talking about the death of careers. We're talking about the death of people being able to sustain themselves because they've chosen to take a path that is contrary to the military-industrial complex, and of course the highest bidders that control that operation. So it's been a very heavy season in that regard. And as we sit here perched on the edge of Scorpio season, we're looking forward theoretically to Sagittarius, which brings with it a lot of truth. And I tell you, I think we're in for a really, especially at the beginning, a very mixed bag, because we have Mars going into Sagittarius. And if there's one thing that we know about Sagittarius is that it can be one of the most self-righteous signs in the zodiac. And so we've been talking about that Mars-Saturn square. I'll bring up the charts. We've been talking about that Mars-Saturn square for a while now. And man, it's going to get more intense though, because you get the self-righteous indignation with Mars. Let's do a little, I forgot I have to do this new thing. I apologize. And everybody, welcome to the show. And also thank you for being a bit patient as we got things together here on this end. So let me do this. What do we have here? I have to rearrange everything. All right, here we go. I don't know. It's this whole thing is fucking just weird. Do you really want to hear my lamentations about dragging objects across my computer screen? I don't think so. You don't want to hear those lamentations. All right. All right, let's try it again. Okay, I had this really bizarre issue with StreamYard in that it does not allow me to share screen with an image on my desktop. So I have to pull it into the nav bar so it shows up as an image. And then for whatever reason, my new computer doesn't like me grabbing images. It's ever since Uranus went into my sixth house, I have had nothing but a shit fuck time with technology. And trust me, I'm not a Luddite. I'm not one of these boomers that doesn't know what the fuck they're doing when it comes to technology. Can you see my frustration here? All right, let's get into the weather. Sorry, I know some boomers are very technologically adept. So this is what we're talking about here. We're talking about Mars. And when it goes into Sagittarius, right, this is the full force of self-righteous indignation squaring off against Saturn and Pisces. And these are two very religious, so the two most religious signs in the zodiac. You notice I didn't say spiritual. I said religious because Sagittarius is very religious, right? When we think of the Crusades, we think of Sagittarius traveling all across Europe, right? Crossing the ocean, invading Jerusalem, right? It's a very, and fueled by the fervor and the fire of, God and one's own conviction to reclaim the Holy Land for the Christians, right? It's a very Sagittarian kind of quest. When you go back into the early 2000s, they were really trying to start another holy war during the early 2000s. And where was Pluto? Pluto was in Sagittarius during that time, right? When we think of Sagittarius, we think of foreign countries. We think of religion and Orthodox religion. When we think of Pisces, we think of more esoteric religion, right? Because the ninth house, which rules Sagittarius, is out in the open. And it's theoretically these higher teachings, right? But it's also supposed to come down through an intermediary. We get into priestcraft when we're into Sagittarius. When we're in Pisces, the religion becomes more esoteric, shall we say, because the 12th house is occulted. It's hidden. So Pisces would be sort of the hidden tracks of religion, right? It would be like, I don't know, the Aquarian Gospel according to Levi, or one of those books, right? Or you can even get into somebody like Edgar Cayce, who was a very God-centric Christian sort of prophet and seer, right? Who happens to be a Pisces. So you get into that. Pisces kind of brings the Holy Ghost or the woo to religion, whereas Sagittarius brings the canonical law. So when we have the Mars, which is the force, moving into Sagittarius and canonical law and law in general, scoring off against Saturn here in Pisces, and so there's a clamping down with this idea of the esoteric woo with Saturn. It's sort of like, okay, if you're going to get through the world at this point in time, you're going to need something a bit more than a kind of a flimsy belief system. And that's what Saturn and Pisces kind of demands of people, right? So we have Mars coming in here, and we know that it's been in a square, but it's going to change once it moves into Sagittarius. And when it does change, it'll be harsh. It'll be very, very harsh. And I could easily see more cases of cancel culture taking place, more hardline stances with religious groups. So there's going to be a lot of fervor with this Mars Saturn square. But on the other hand, because astrology is it's dual, right? There's dualistic meanings and potential for astrology, and that some people with Mars and Sagittarius will say, well, we've had enough. right? This is not the sole domain of the priestcraft or religious sects. No, we've had enough. If we're pushing back on Saturn and Pisces. And today on 15 Minutes of Flame, by the way, I have a link that I'll put in here because I activated the 15 Minutes of Flame channel over on Boxcast. So you can just go to Boxcast, and I'll have that link up here pretty soon. And today I'm going to be talking about this biblical prophecy of Gog and Magog, and how Gog and Magog is just this bizarre story, and how it has morphed into prophecy, which bleeds into dispensationalism. And dispensationalism is really on the rise, right? These are people that are very rapture oriented. And I'm going to get into dispensationalism. I'm not going to have a show tomorrow because it's Thanksgiving. I may just do a show on Friday strictly about dispensationalism. And we'll get into John Nelson Darby, the Second Great Awakening. It's fascinating stuff. It's tied into the story of America. And it also, in a strange way, ties into this period of what we would call Tartaria. And there's this kind of new wave of belief systems that are ready to populate a new world, theoretically. So I think I'll get into that on Friday. So we'll start with the whole prophecy piece with Gog and Magog, and then we'll work backwards on Friday. So that'll be today over on 15 Minutes. But, Mars in Sagittarius here wants to be able to express itself with real life force and vigor, right? So Mars is kind of cycling out. The Sun is definitely cycling out. So we're in the sort of, the drips and drabs, the last fumes of Scorpio season. And sometimes, those last drips and drabs or those last fumes, they can be the most potent, and especially when I talk about the star of the day today, which you'll see what I'm talking about when we get there. So how does this affect you, right? Well, if we deal with the macro, we deal with the micro, right? And the macro and the micro, they're one, right? So the micro is in one circle, the macro is in another circle. You put them together, you get the Pisces vesica, and then there's that center point where they meet in the middle. So there's really very little difference now between the macro and the micro, right? I was watching this absolutely stunning video with Cardi B, of all people, and she's like got her 25,000 Instagram people that are watching her in real time on Instagram, and she's just taking no prisoners, and she's talking about how there's not going to be any money for any services in New York. And that she's not going to back any candidate for 2024, and she's pissed off at Joe Biden. Like, Cardi B is having an awakening. And I think a lot of it has to do with where we are astrologically, because even though we have these points of tension, the points of tension force people. It shakes them out of their patterns. Right? It shakes them out of their pacification in a lot of ways. It shakes them out of their hypnagogia. So we can't just say that all squares are bad. They happen for a reason. And so here we are, kind of at the last gasp of this Scorpio season. And what's interesting is that when we go into a new sign, the sign is reborn. Right. So we're taking the essence of the sign before it and bringing it into the pattern of the new sign, or the pattern of the new day. So this is, in this period specifically with Scorpio and Sagittarius, is an important one, because, technically, if you play with 13 sign astrology, we'd be talking about a ficus, but we're not. So we're talking about what happens when something goes through a state of transformation or transubstantiation. Like, what do you take with you? And then when you take that thing with you, how does it feed into the next sign, being Sagittarius? right? Well, first of all, you're theoretically going to have a greater appreciation of life and death, right? I mean, that's how it works. And then with Sagittarius, because it's Jupiter ruled, you would be grateful. You'd be grateful for whatever gifts life brings you on this day, right? Because that's the story of death. It is a great leveler. So as we move into this really intense set from this intense Scorpio season into Sagittarius, there is this sense that what people are taking with them out of this season is very important. It's very, very important, because when Mars kicks in, and we already know the sun is going to be there by tomorrow, there is a greater sense of indignation in what people are willing to put up with in their lives. And so that's going to be also in your life as well. We're talking about the micro and the macro and the Pisces Vesica. We're moving into this really interesting period where there's very little separation from our lives and what's happening in the collective theater, where we're wired up now. And we're not only just wired up to that, but we're starting to get wired up together, because people are beginning to experience the conditions of the world simultaneously. This all started when Saturn went into Aquarius in 2020, right? As soon as Saturn went into Aquarius, everybody's experiencing the same thing together. 2 weeks to stop the spread, right? So that initiated this kind of new level of participating as one species, one body, one mind. And as we move through these kind of dark phases that we're in right now, and trust me, this has been a very dark month, that the light of awakening and the light of truth through Sagittarius becomes way more potent, right? Because of what we've just been through. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's kind of like when you have a person or a pet, a loved one who passes away, and there's this very interesting supernal grace that comes through, and this clarity that comes through, and it's like the great leveler, and you just become so cognizant of what's real and true in your life, and all the illusions and all the petty stuff just absolutely crumbles, right? And that's where Sagittarius comes in. Sagittarius, can seize the day in a lot of ways. And the downside, again, is we have to watch out for this overzealous and overbearing quality that Sagittarius can have. But I feel like we're moving this month, particularly, we're moving into a very powerful phase of the awakening of humanity. And there will be pushback, guaranteed, right? Because as we awaken, the people that have done everything in their power to keep us in a trance and asleep want us there. They want us there. And whether it's some institution, whether it's some governing body, whether it's a member of your own family or somebody in your own circle who desperately wants to keep you asleep because they want to stay asleep. They want to just be as comfortable and numb as possible, right? Well, that's changing. A lot of people would say that we're in Groundhog Day. We're not in Groundhog Day. It may seem like, well, it's another day, and Joe Biden's just done another stupid fucking thing, and here we are. No, that's only a facade, because when you get Cardi B spitting truth on Instagram, this is a new day. This is somebody who essentially had her nose so far up Joe Biden's rectum and the Democrats' rectum, because that was the story that she was believing, has been told to believe for a long time, and she's out now. How do you think that's going to affect her? I mean, she's got millions of followers. Now, somebody may get on her case and say, well, you've got to apologize for that. With Mars and Sagittarius, come on. That's not going to happen. Right? So this is a very, very interesting time. And it also feels like, because we've been in such a dark phase this last month, that people want to do something. right? They want to do something about their sense of either helplessness or this kind of existential angst, that's been floating around in the air. And I think there's great motivation as Mars makes its ingress into Sagittarius. The sun, obviously, just 1 degree away, right? So tomorrow, it'll be a great day because the sun will be at 0 Sag. It'll be Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving embodies all the qualities of Sagittarius in Jupiter: goodwill, good faith, and of course, excess. Yeah, I'll have another helping of that. Yeah, I'll have that second piece of pie. Yeah, fill my glass up. Yeah, I know. I've had 2 glasses. What's the third? Here we go, right? And we're into the season of jolly and merriment. And we need some of that too, right? Like, not every day is, going to be guerrilla warfare, spiritual guerrilla warfare. Not every day is going to be like that. So we need some merriment. We need some time where we look around at the people that we're with and we just say, I love you and I appreciate you. And I am grateful for your presence in my life, right? And you raise a glass. And I feel like if we could all do that simultaneously, boy, the world could, begin to really pivot a bit. You know what I'm saying? Right? If we could just all do that and really connect into that feeling. So this is what I would say for all of you who watch this, maybe 200 of you that are here, or the 2,000 that show up on the stats. Be alive tomorrow. Be alive. Be grateful. Share your gratitude with people. Whatever it is, let them know you love them, you care about them, that they're an important part of your life. And then build on that, right? Life is all about momentum. And we have been really in the trenches for the last month. I swear we have. This has been a very difficult month for a lot of people. And so what are we going to do? Are we going to circle the drain? Or are we going to rally the troops? And rallying the troops is to make a stand. And it's very interesting that the 2 major forces of the cosmos, Mars and the sun, right? I will and I am. I will and I am. Mars is I will, the sun is I am. And they are literally dancing together in the sky, right? They're dancing together in the sky, and they're getting ready to mount a counteroffensive on the existential trough we've been in for the last 30 days, which has been a heavy duty time. So this is positive, right? This is a positive place that you can go, and everybody can do it. Everybody can. All you have to do is just find a scintilla of gratitude and feel into it and allow that to be a part of your life. We start from that place, man, life gets real interesting after that. We have Mercury and Venus and sextile. So we're communicating about some of these things. We're communicating through a balanced and fair perspective, right? That's how this sextile works. And even, again, I'll go back to Cardi B. She's like spitting her damn truth, right? And she's, bringing a more balanced perspective and level of awareness to, I don't know what they call them. You know who would never do that? Taylor Swift would never do that. You know why? Because Cardi B was basically raised on the streets, right? Cardi B, whatever you think of her, like she's having a, Saul Paul on the road to Damascus moment. Taylor Swift will never do that because Taylor Swift, even though she's a Sagittarius, by the way, Taylor Swift has been raised with a fucking golden spoon in her mouth. Her father was like the vice president of Charles Schwab. I mean, really, Taylor Swift is a Wall Street baby. Anyway, this is where we are. We've got the moon at 28 Pisces. So we've got this really nice trine going on with Mars and the sun and the moon. So again, with the moon and Pisces, what do we engage in? We engage in feeling, right? We engage in feeling. We're at the end of the zodiac here with this lunar placement. And then tomorrow, you're going to wake up. Where's that moon going to be? It's going to be in Sagittarius. And what are we going to have? We're going to have a dance, the moon with the sun, right? So we have moon in Sag, trining the sun in Sag. It's going to be a party. Later on in the day, the moon is going to come in and trine Mercury. That's going to help you with your emotions, right? Aries doesn't hesitate. Aries is about now, right? It's now. I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking right now. Now, we will get into this Moon-Venus opposition. So that'll be interesting, right? I would say, because Venus is in Libra, if you are with friends or with family, try to find common ground. To me, that's the best thing that you can do with Venus and Libra. Find that common ground. And if you're going to be emphatic about something, be emphatic emotionally about how you feel about other people. I mean, just kind of knock them right out of their boots. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait for the damn truther to show up. So, yeah. Should be good. Should be good. He's going to brag about how he hasn't gotten sick because he didn't take the damn shot. Right? Don't give him that. Give him something different. When there's nothing that people can hook onto or head against, they become really confused. And if you do it out of love, like, it's a benevolent form of manipulation, right? But you're doing it from your heart. I mean, and this is really theoretically the Christian way, if we're just boiling it down and getting into the essence of what we're talking about. So today we are in the last day of Scorpio season, and they always say it's darkest before the dawn. And tomorrow, there is the dawn of a new day. We enter a new sign, a new phase, and it's not just at any point in our turning here in this realm. It's a major point. It's a major turning. And don't lose faith. Whatever you do, don't lose faith. Double down if you need to. All right. Before I get into the star of the day, I want to show you guys something that is a new offering on my website. And I worked on this last night. So I know you guys like the star of the day. And I've actually done some star of the day with for people, like as gifts. So I am now offering a star of the day for Christmas gifts, birthday gifts. Let me show you. And it's on my website. And it's under services. So it's right there, and it's $150 for a customized 20-minute star of the day, just like I do here on Astro Weather. And then what you have to do is you have to send me a picture of the person. And of course, there's, how you communicate with me. It's right here. Anytime you get a reading, this is the way to communicate with me. There's a video. Watch the video. It's how you and I can connect, because my email is out of control and has been for a long time. So once you purchase the star of the day, you and I will communicate, right? And then you'll send me the person's date of birth, time, place. You'll send me a picture, and I will create a special customized 20-minute star of the day profile on that person. And it comes with an intro, which I've created especially for this service, right? Which I haven't used on the show yet, but I created it about a week ago. So it's a cool idea for a gift, right? So you can do it as a birthday gift, or you can do it as a Christmas gift. And if you are a Mars or Jove member, you just have to let me know, and I'll throw you back some money, because you get a rebate, right? You'll get a little bit of a rebate there. I don't have a code to put in, but if you're a Mars and Jove member of the 11th house, Jove, you get 10% off, and Mars, you get 5% off. And I'll be happy to send that back to you as a little bit of a rebate. You just have to let me know. And what I will do is I will send you a Zoom link, and I'll record it. and then you'll have the link, and you just send it to the person that you love and care about. What a unique Christmas gift, right? What a unique birthday gift. So you can now get the star of the day personalized right here on robertphoenix.com. All right, let's talk about the star of the day. So today's star of the day brought to you by True Hemp Science. The True Hemp Science star of the day is Oscar Pistorious. And, there were some reasonable candidates, but Oscar Pistorious really stands out. And a lot of it has to do, in a lot of ways, with his tortured life. But his story is so strange and bizarre. He's South African, and he had a degenerative bone condition in both legs, and so he had part of his legs amputated below the knees, and he had it at a very young age. And what's interesting is that Pistorious played sports, right? And how do you see that, right? You see it with Mars and Aquarius. And people that have Mars and Aquarius are able to do unusual things athletically, right? They will like flip you out sometimes because of their unexpected abilities. And remember, Aquarius is an air sign, so it's fast, right? Mars and Aquarius is fast, it's quick. Brock Purdy, who plays for the San Francisco 49ers, has Mars and Aquarius. If you ever watch him, he's quick, he's nimble. He has one of the best 3-cone times in NFL draft history, right? He's just like incredibly quick. And you get this. And the other thing with Mars and Aquarius is that because it's a fixed sign, the person who has it will continue to work away at achieving their athletic goals. And at times using unusual means like the blades that Pistorious was introduced to help him run. But besides that, he was a rugby player. He played tennis. He wrestled. He was on the water polo team. I mean, the idea that he was disabled was like there was a coach who, after a while, he eventually figured out he was disabled. He was like, whoa, this guy's playing basically on stumps, right? And that's also very Aquarian. It's very shocking. The kind of the sort of how people with Aquarius rising are viewed by other people. And, he's got this 29-degree sun in Scorpio. The challenge of 29-degree suns is that in most cases, they're born on the 22nd. And if you know anything about numerology, number 22 is the number of the master builder. So it's this weird combination of feeling like you have some kind of unique purpose to fulfill, but then there's no energy left in the sign. It's really weird. It's one of the paradoxes of astrology that fascinates me. Why? Because I'm born on the 22nd and my sun is 29 Virgo. So I know a little bit about this. And the thing about Pistorious is you can even see with Mercury on his midheaven, right? And he's got Mercury retrograde. So he's kind of, reimagining and revamping how he runs. Mercury is the planet of travel, right? And he's changing people's ideas about, what humans are capable of with these blades. And he also has Pluto conjunct his midheaven. And this is a really interesting and intense study in Pluto when you look at his life. Because on the one hand, he's able to accomplish a tremendous amount. He had a foundation, right? So he's making these literally huge strides in what humans are capable of, right? But then he gets involved with this woman, Reva Steenkamp, who was a model in South Africa. They're both South African. And she was disabled too. Like I think she was missing a hand. So they had this weird kind of like Chiron thing going on, in Chiron in the 5th house. Like it was like, okay, well, he has 2 good hands. She has 2 good feet or 2 good legs, right? So they had this weird kind of coupling involved, and they were very well known in South Africa for being both popular and kind of at the height. Reva Steenkamp was a model who didn't have a hand, right? So this is this weird kind of Chiron and Gemini, like they're going to be kind of one person. But then one night, Oscar Pistorius thought there was an intruder in the bathroom. And this is where the story gets weird. He fires 4 shots into the bathroom and kills Reva Steenkamp. So here we have Pluto squaring the moon. I don't know the full story behind what happened. I followed it intensely when it happened. And the reason why I followed it was because there was this big push for gun control. And it felt like that they wanted to use this high-profile athlete who actually went to the Olympics in 2008, right? They wanted to use this high-profile athlete so that they could kind of further this global narrative around gun control. It's like, it was just weird, right? It's like, oh, why is this happening? And the whole thing is just bizarre. Really, really bizarre. And then what happens afterwards is even more bizarre because of the incarceration of Oscar Pistorius. And not just the incarceration of him, but then what happens after each successive sort of appeal. Like, he went in for 3 years for manslaughter. And for all intents and purposes, a model prisoner. But then the judicial system gets involved and they start to retry him, right? And then eventually they retry him and they say, well, he didn't have enough years on that manslaughter sentence. Give him 3 more. So now it becomes 6 years. And then he's retried again, this time for murder. And then he's given 15 years. And the whole thing is very, very odd, right? But what we see through this is, this Mars, right, in Aquarius. He also has the true node in Aries in the 3rd house. 3rd house is Mercury's house, right? And what is he doing? He's blazing a new trail. This is what Aries does. He's a pioneer. He's the first, amputee with prosthetic appendages that competed in the Olympics. I don't know if they have since banned that, but he was a part of the South African relay team, and he also ran, I think, the 400 meters. I mean, the story is pretty mind-boggling, and it's almost like he has these 2 paths, right? He has this path of overcoming, kind of great faith in the things that he does, Jupiter and Pisces. And he just, Pluto and Mercury just pour into Jupiter, right? He gets opportunity, opportunity, opportunity. He's got this Sun-Mars square. And anything you know about Sun-Mars squares, people are fighters. Like, he fought assiduously to get into the Olympics. And he, so he has this one path, which is kind of predicating his evolution. And then he's got this thing with the moon and Leo. And I feel like that this is where this manslaughter shows up with Reva Steenkamp. And I would say that Oscar Pistorius had a raging fit of jealousy. That's what I think. And I don't know whether or not he was conscious and aware that I'm just going to do this clip into the bathroom while she's in there, or whether he had convinced himself that that was the case. Because, sometimes the jealousy, it's the green-eyed monster, right? It is the green-eyed monster. And sometimes jealousy can just, you want to see a movie about jealousy, go watch Lost Highway with David Lynch. Go watch Lost Highway. That will take you into the bowels of hell with jealousy. So I think he probably killed her. And I think, well, I know he killed her because he was the one that was associated with the weapon, right? But it's like, under what conditions did he kill her? Was he so wigged out that he convinced himself that there was somebody intruding in the bathroom? Because the other thing too is a lot of these athletes, especially athletes that are into high performance, they take drugs. they take drugs, whatever the drugs are. It could be human growth hormone, it could be steroids. And with a guy like Pistorious, who has to deal with things like muscle atrophy and things like that, I'm sure that he also was indulging in some sort of pharmacopoeia, right? At the end of the day, I think the Moon Pluto square, the Moon Mercury square, the Moon Venus square did him in. But I also feel like that the so-called justice in South Africa has had a vendetta against Oscar Pistorius. And but you can just see his chart all over the chart. Like Mars in Aquarius, right? Mars is the chariot. He's going to move in an unusual way. He's got that true node in Aries. He's going to pioneer things like prosthetics, right? And just, new ways of traveling, new ways of propelling himself through the world. Very interesting chart, super interesting story, and a tragic one for both him and Reva Steenkamp. So there's your True Hemp Science star of the day. And remember, if you go to True Hemp Science, and let me get the banner up here, my favorite banner. When you go to True Hemp Science and you spend $100 or more, what do you get? You get free goodies. What do you have to do? You have to type in 15MINS, 15MINS. And then that'll ensure that you get your free goodies when you buy $100 or more of True Hemp Science product. The gummies are the bomb. They're the best. Their tinctures are excellent for, keeping your cells and your joints lubricated. This is what really good THC does. So if you're somebody who has chronic inflammation, chronic pain, look no further. True Hemp Science is a great place for you to check out your options. You can always make an appointment with Chris at True Hemp Science. There's a form there. Fill it out. He'll call you back, and you'll get a free consultation. Not only that, but if you spend $150 more, you get free shipping, and there's always a 30-day money-back guarantee. True Hemp Science, your one-stop shop for all things CBD. And by the way, they make great gifts too. You can put together a little. You can even talk to Chris, get him on the phone, and say, "Hey, man, I know you do these goodie bags. Can you hook me up with a goodie bag, and then hit me with a number so I can give it to somebody?" It's another great gift idea, right? I'm sure he would do that. Like he would have to make some money off of it, but it would be a fair price, I'm sure, and would give a great stocking stuffer. Great stocking stuffer. All right. Don't forget to hit that like button. That's very important. Super, super important. Here, let me do this. Let me put in the link to the show, because we are doing the show over on Boxcast today. And one of the mods might have been able to do that. Tom or Ryan might have been able to do that. But I'm going to put the link in here just so everybody has it. And we're going to get into the Gog and Magog today. It's a very interesting story. And it's beyond interesting. Let's put it that way. Okay, let's do that. And let me go into the comments. Let me throw this in here. There you go. There's the Boxcast link. All right, that's it. Thanks, everybody. Use your head in order to discern real your heart, 2 step as possible. I'm Robert Phoenix. This has been the Astro Weather. Take good care, and remember, tell somebody you're grateful for them in your life tomorrow. Let's start a wave. Let's start a wave. Starts right here, 200 people, and then tell those people to pass it on. All right, take care. Bye for now.